Hey guys, how's it going? No doubt most of you have heard by now about the Nexon versus the Ironmace studios on Dark and Darker, getting removed off of Steam for a DMCA takedown. Now, Charlie has multiple videos on this, right? The first one kind of ranting about it, talking about how horrible Nexon is, and the second one following up after Ironmace responded and really going through and kind of looking like it looks like Ironmace has got this, right? It's really solid. They've disproven everything. All of the assets are from the Unreal marketplace, so they couldn't have been stolen from Nexon, yada yada, all of this. But unfortunately, it gets a lot more complicated than that. Both Kira as well as Devin Nash have videos where they dive into this quite a bit deeper, and I have to say, it does not look good at all. My plan here is to basically too long didn't watch it, Kira and Devin Nash's videos for you guys really quick, giving you some of the big highlight points on what makes this a lot more complicated and really doesn't look good for Dark and Darker, unfortunately. And then I'll also link to their videos so you can go check them out if you want to get the full scoop. Devin Nash's video is like 46 minutes long, but he did a lot of research, and there's a lot of stuff in there that no one else has covered at all because they didn't dig quite as far as him. He went all the way into looking into Korean law. Now, here's the issue. This is a Korean law court case problem going on. And the way Korea does law is a little bit different than America. The way he broke it down was essentially America has this common law thing, right? So we have all of our laws and everything, but then after that, we set precedents, right? And the precedents can kind of change the interpretation of laws and the outcomes and such that we expect in court. Korea doesn't really work like that. According to him, the way Korea's law works is it's basically just by the word, right? Like by the book, what does it say? Did you violate what it says? There's no precedent stuff going on. There isn't the common law thing, and so it's just, did you violate this? Yep, okay, pretty cut, clear cut case. That's how it goes over there. And he read this issue for going on, and he read the thing that's being violated and being asserted by Nexon on all this, and he really thinks it does not look good for the Ironmace studio. Essentially, this is not about the assets and where the assets came from or anything like that. It's a trade secrets deal, right? And it comes down to, would these people have even had the idea for this specific of a game, right? And we can't just say, this trademark genre thing, just because it's a fantasy game or whatever. It's way more specific than that, right? The games look kind of one-to-one, almost like identical games. And then even there, like the assets that were used, apparently even after removing and accounting for this like a store asset thing, there were still thousands of files with like the same exact names, and just the way the entire game plays, it's all so similar that it looks like it could be a pretty easy case for Nexon to say like, this is our game. Right? They left our company, went over here, they violated this non-compete clause, and boom, like kind of just a shut case. It's a bummer because at my core, I big time agree with Charlie, right? Like the sentiment Charlie has of basically just fuck Nexon, fuck the big corporation, trying to, screw over the little indie dev. We like the game. You basically shelve the game. That's really the big thing for me. I feel like there should be a clause in these types of things, right? These non-compete clauses need another clause that like, if you shelve the game, if you're not going to publish the game, you shouldn't be able to do this. This shouldn't be a thing that you can do still, right? You basically bailed on the project and someone else took it up and carried it on. I have to say, I'm really not a huge fan of intellectual property protection laws in general. This is kind of like, it's a bit of a heated topic. Some people really believe in it, other people don't. Believe in is kind of like a weird thing, right? They exist, but whether or not I think they're right, it's essentially a thing where it really protects the corporations, but it's not necessarily a positive for the consumer. The best thing for the consumer is if everyone has the right to take things and modify them and try to put out the best version of that product possible. Sure, you could have two games that are almost exactly the same, but what if one person wants to be, or one team wants to be a lot less greedy, right? They're going to put out a version of the game that's monetized a lot better. They're willing to change things around a little bit here and there so that you don't have to pay so much to enjoy the game, and they're willing to accept a little bit less profit in the short term, but maybe they're hoping for a longer term game because they're not going to piss their customers off with shady monetization practices, right? I personally think both of those games should be allowed to come to the market And then things compete, and we see, do people like the one, that's monetized fairly better, or do people actually really want to just pay for this stuff and ruin the experience for themselves and, do this new, weird, modern, gross stuff in gaming that none of us really like? Devin also makes a point in his video kind of highlighting a thing from Nexon, basically what they're talking about, and how this could be potentially very negative for the gaming space overall if Ironmace wins. Right, there's this weird kind of implication of like, could everyone do this all the time now? And will gaming companies have a lot more fear and be reluctant to invest in game and trying to bring new game ideas to the market when there's this fear that like anyone on the team could just step out and make a better version of the game? Now, again, with the intellectual property stuff and whatnot I was talking about, was like, I don't think that this is like a smooth, right, a clear-cut, true, like negative or drawback, right? There is a flip side to this in that like your employees won't want to leave your company and go try to do this, in my opinion, if you're treating them properly, paying them well, the working conditions are good, and you're actually making, a decent speed and rate of progress, right? You're not being tied down by too much bureaucracy inside of your company so that games can't really get brought forward in a timely manner, or forced to monetize in a way that the person actually developing and building the game that has that vision wants it to be monetized. So there's a lot of things where the company could be pushing the people out and giving them desire to want to go do this, because the truth is that shouldn't be the easier route, right? It shouldn't be easier to go out and have to raise your own money and build your own studio and hire your own team and all this stuff to build it. It should be easier to just stay at your company and build the game, as long as you as that company aren't making that too difficult of a process. But again, this is where I say, I don't think that that's such a cut and dry negative, right? There are flip sides. And like I just went into a little bit of detail on intellectual property laws as well, has like, to me, most of this would be beneficial to the consumer if Ironmace wins. If people are allowed to do this, I don't think that protecting the interests of the corporations is really that big of a deal here. And I don't think they're all going to pull out of the video gaming industry if, Nexon loses this case. The video gaming industry is a very huge industry that makes a lot of money. And I think, right, that most companies would know, well, as long as I don't treat my employees too crappy or cause all these problems and make it too difficult to develop the games and all this such, my employees probably won't do this to me. But Nexon, makes sense that they would have this fear because, as we already discussed, no one really likes Nexon. There you go, guys. It's my opinions on kind of what's going on here as well. Some quick summaries of kind of from Charlie's side, as well as the Kira and Devin stuff, what they kind of point out that it makes it not so clear cut and it's not looking quite as good for Ironmace as Charlie's video makes it seem kind of like it's a slam dunk. They got this. The game should be good to go. There's a really good chance that we never get this game now, which would be really sad. Or there's a good chance that maybe we don't get the game from Ironmace now and we're going to get whatever version monetized, however it's going to be monetized or whatever, from Nexon, now that they've seen the interest and success that the game has, that they had previously shelved, right? Probably didn't think that it was going to be quite as big as it turned out to be. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.